What's up, everybody? Today we're back with another video, and today we're going to be reviewing the Siekon LiFePO 4 battery. This is their classic series. They sent me this to compare against its other 12 volt 100 amp hour batteries in the marketplace. So let's get on with it. We're going to test its capacity, we're going to put it through its paces, we're going to weigh it, and then we're going to give it an EcoScore. Let's get into it. So first up, just taking a walk around the Siekon. Its construction is pretty basic, just like most 12 volt batteries. It has this plastic exterior, although this one is feels like it's slightly thicker. On the sides of some of them, they kind of bow in a little bit. You hear it a little more hollow in the back. They have the nylon strap up top, and while this looks cheap, it just works. I don't like the ones where there's a handle on each side, because then you have to use two hands. Or if they have the little plastic flap that flaps up, that's okay. But I like batteries where you can carry them with one hand, and this also can be removable with this down here. Well, I'm not going to do it with one hand, but there you go. Squeeze it out. There you go. You can remove the strap, and then you can put it back in. There you go. And you just saw me do that first try with one hand. Looks a little cheap, but it's quite functional. Now let's go ahead and get this thing on the scale. All right, on the scale, the Siekon weighs 22 pounds, 4 ounces. All right, now we're going to charge it up. We're going to connect it to our inverter, and we're going to do a capacity test. All right, so we have the Siekon hooked up to our shunt inverter, our meter here, and a space heater. So let me point this out of the way. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Now, this being a 12 volt 100 amp hour unit, it produces 1280 watts out as a max and has a 1280 watt hour capacity. So here we are. Let's go ahead and turn on our space heater, stabilizing at 1300 watts. So definitely handles 1280 watts. So let's go ahead and just come back in roughly an hour or so and see where it is. All right, so just something to note. We're about maybe 15 minutes into this, and the battery overheated. It's pretty hot. Not very hot, but this is hot to the touch for sure. And it shut off. So what I'm going to do is just leave the inverter, everything on in their own position, to see if it kicks back on. If it has that auto thermal protection, I'm going to also remove the plastic from the top to help it breathe a little better. All right, after about 12 minutes or so, it all cooled off, calmed down, popped back on by itself. I did have to turn the heater back on manually, but this time I'm going to run it on low instead of high, and that's going to be a cool about 700 watts, so we shouldn't have any more issues. Originally, it ran for 13 minutes before it shut off. All right, the alarm has now gone off, and this thing is completely empty. Let's see what the capacity reads. All right, as we can see, this ran for an hour and 29 minutes. Let's cycle through. It consumed 1,176 watt hours out of the 1280. Its highest wattage that it put out was 1318 as well. So let's go ahead and put that into our chart and then see how it stacks up. Something else I want to note is after this running for an hour and 15 minutes extra, producing 700 watts out roughly consistently, this is just slightly warm. It's nowhere near hot, just slightly warm. All right, so that is it for the Siekon. I like the battery a lot. It's a great price compared to every other 12 volt 100 amp hour battery. It performed very well, and at that price and performance, you really can't beat it. I enjoy the one-handed handle. And with all that said, now let's go ahead and give it an EcoScore. All right, before we get into the EcoScore, I just want to show you the battery's test results. You can see them on this line right here. All right, now on to the EcoScore. Now for price, the Siekon is priced very well. The only other battery that is cheaper than the Siekon is the Wise. So it gets a 4 with an asterisk. The reason I give it an asterisk is because currently it's on sale on Amazon for $189, which among the batteries, the cheapest I've seen is 224. So that would give it a 5 ordinarily, but because it's a sale price, that price could change. And on this channel, we just do their retail price. So that does get a 4 with an asterisk, because right now, at today's pricing, it would get a 5. As far as performance go, it performed well, very well actually, and it gets a 5. As far as efficiency goes, it's good. It wasn't the best, but it was still good, and it gets a 4. As far as features go, it's a basic battery, so it gets a 2. As far as warranty goes, it has a 5-year warranty, which is industry standard, and it gets a 4. In terms of overall value, I like the battery. It performed better than all the other batteries. They just all have gotten 5s because they all perform well, but this has performed better. The price is great. If I was looking for batteries, this is what I would go for if I just needed a basic one, and it gets a 4, giving it a grand total of 23 points, which ties it right here for third. Now, even though it's at the bottom of the list, it's not a bad battery. Again, if that 189 was its regular price, it would have gotten an extra point there. And if it was scored a little bit higher on the efficiency test or had Bluetooth or something, this thing would easily be second place.